Let's talk gold. Equinox Gold has broken ground on its new gold mine in northern Ontario near the community of Geraldton. That Greenstone Gold Mine is set to produce more than 400,000 ounces of gold annually for the first 5 years. That is a big gold mine. We are joined now by Christian Milau. He's the CEO of Equinox Gold. Christian, great to talk to you again.
Yeah, great to be back, Andrew. It's an exciting time for us.
Yeah, so this is a big mine. It's going to be one of the biggest gold mines in Canada.
Yeah, it should be number 3 or 4, depending on the exact start date. But yeah, it's going to be really proud to get a big Canadian cornerstone asset into production here.
What is the all-in sustaining cost roughly for gold from this mine?
Yeah, it's around, it's probably just below or around $700 an ounce. And, as we progress towards production, we'll update that cost. But definitely it's up a little bit from what the feasibility is saying.
Whoa, that's low though, $700?
Yeah, no, it's an incredible mine. It's a good grade mine. It's an excellent deposit here. And, the infrastructure is just outstanding in this region.
Now, tell us, when did you acquire it? Because it's kind of unusual as well, but you co-own it with Orion Mine Finance. So tell us how you ended up, you own 60% of the mine. So tell us when you acquired it and how you got into this arrangement with Orion.
Yeah, basically this was previously owned by Premier Gold and Centerra, and Orion was buying the 50% stake off of Centerra, I guess, beginning of this year. And we came in and said, look, we'd love to be the partner on this and help finance ultimately this big build, which Premier had the other 50% of. And so we came in and took over Premier's stake and bought out Premier in total. And in the end, we decided, we're the operating mining company. We said to Orion, we'd love to be a 60% owner and kind of the main operator. And they're a financial partner and clearly have experience in mining. And we came to an agreement with them to do this complicated deal all at once early in the year, and we closed that deal in April. And now, the two partners are here actually this week celebrating this groundbreaking.
Costs did go up. You're now putting the total initial capital cost at about $1.2 billion US. The previous owners had it at only just over $1 billion. That was in 2020. Now, I know things change. Obviously, it's a complex project. Any gold mine's a complex project. But you have experienced inflation?
Yeah, we've had the benefit, or I guess the delay in a sense. COVID's obviously hit the world, and also inflation's hit various commodity input products, and we've seen that in a couple of other projects recently, and we're experiencing the same sort of thing, and we've gone out and rebid and requote and finished up most of our engineering, and we're seeing a change in the foreign exchange, we're seeing some inflation and COVID costs hit us, and a bit of an increase in contingency in the current environment because supply chains are fairly tight right now.
Have wages been going up? Are you having to pay people more to get them to come over to work for you?
Yeah, I'd say wages are increasing, but we're seeing more that diesel price and steel costs and that are probably the major items at the moment that you're seeing go up. And we saw lumber spike, although it's come significantly off from where it was at its peak. So all those things are factored in, and it's probably, give or take, it was a 18-20% increase in the overall capital cost.
Equinox is such a big company now. National Bank reckons that this is only about 16% of your net asset value at Equinox. It just shows how big your company has become. Where is most of the production for Equinox these days?
Yeah, and it's probably a good way to introduce it, because I think at the moment as a non-producing asset, it's probably 16% of the asset value. But when a mine of this scale is in production in Canada, and you look at some of those standalone single asset Canadian companies or the ones that have been bought out recently, I do expect that net asset value to become, a quarter, if not even a third, but a quarter of our value. Okay. But at the moment, obviously, it's smaller. But our main production's coming from, roughly a couple 100,000 ounces from California, over 200,000 ounces, almost 300 from Brazil, and then the rest is from Mexico.
Your stock has underperformed lately. I was just looking at it versus XGD, the gold ETF. Why is that? Why have you relatively been out of favor?
Yeah, and I would say actually in the last 6 or 8 months, we have had a tougher time in terms of stock performance. We did have a blockade there in Mexico early in the year, and also I think just closing out our transaction and getting the articulation of our plan to get Greenstone built, financed, and move forward, I think, and start to de-risk the projects that we have, I think is part of the the process we're going through. We're an aggressive growth company, and you trade at a bit of a discount until you start to deliver on that. And I think we're in that process at the moment.
You had was that blockade of the Los Filos mine in Mexico?
That's correct. Yeah, we did have that.
And you got that thing resolved?
Yeah, we're back and operating now. It's definitely been the one frustrating thing for us over the last year or so. The company has come from basically no producing assets about 3.5-4 years ago to now having 7 producing mines. And the one blemish, I think, has been that we've had that situation in Mexico that it'll take time to rebuild the stability and trust there. But other than that, I think it's been a really good go.
What was that? Was it just friction with local residents?
Yeah, there's 3 communities there, and there's always a bit of friction and tension around allocation of jobs and contracts, and ultimately the benefits into the communities. And as we're investing in these new areas, I'd say there's a bit of jockeying for as much of those benefits as possible in contracts and jobs, and we need to balance it between 3 communities and try and be as fair as possible. And I think sometimes they take it into their own hands, and the history there has had a bit more of a militant approach to that rather than a pure negotiating stance. And I hope that we're starting to build that trust with them and draw a line in the sand and say, hey, we need to move forward as partners here and build this trust over the long term.
You're in a tough part of the world there, though, aren't you? Guerrero State, unfortunately, a lot of crime, not always a great police presence.
Yeah, no, it's one of the frustrations for sure is just that police presence and enforcing the law, through the courts, et cetera. It's not quite as simple as it has been in other jurisdictions that we're in, for sure.
So you're really growing. I mean, I'm looking at Scotia here. They estimate that your gold production will be almost 900,000 ounces in 2023. So you're going to be joining the million-ounce club fairly shortly.
Yeah, we figure Greenstone will be that catalyst that'll get us through 1 million ounces a year. And we set that ambitious target a few years back, and we're, like I say, within spitting distance of that over the next couple of years. So it'll be about a 2-year construction build, and then we start to get to that run rate of 1 million ounces. So exciting times.
Are you going to be a takeover candidate at that stage? I mean, because you touched on this, a big old mine in Canada is popular these days to own.
Yeah, I mean, that's not been our MO or our plan. Our strategy really is to build a generational company here. And again, Ross Beattie's built Pan Am Silver to be a long-term. It's taken him 27 years to get where he is. He's number 2 in the world there. We'd love to be a top 10 gold mining company in the world. And our goal is to really build something that people can invest in for the long term. And that's our plan. We're not building this to be sold. We are commercial, and this is a world where we think that consolidation will be good in our sector, but we prefer to be a consolidator, if anything.